Good morning. The secret of success is asking yourself always, not what do I want to see happen, but rather what is trying to happen here.
Good morning, everyone. It is a joy today for all of the Gurgaon devotees and Guru Bhais to have Nayaswami's Dharmarajan ji and Dharmini ji with us today for the Sunday Satsang. Thank you so much, Dharmini ji and Dharmarajan ji. Before we start, I would just like all of us to remind ourselves, because everyone knows them, about Dharmarajan ji and Dharmini ji. So Nayaswami Dharmarajan ji is actually a master's in computer science from MIT, and Dharmini ji is an electrical engineer. So no wonder why they are so comfortable with the technology when we are doing these things online. It's great to have very technical Kriyacharyas. And Dharmarajan ji has been with Ananda for a long time, and he and Dharmini ji are spiritual directors at Ananda in Chennai. Before this, they were serving as spiritual directors of Ananda's community in Los Angeles. And then Kriyananda ji asked them to move back to India, thankfully. And Dharmini ji, we all know, she is a wonderful wonderful at flute, singing, and also directs the choir. So we've seen you both. We've heard so many of your talks and lectures and the songs. So it's a joy for all the Gurgaon devotees to have you here. Over to you, Dharmini ji and Dharmarajan ji. Thank you once again for coming here.
Thank you, friends. It was very sweet to have that introduction, and we were scrambling to finish a few of the little last technical details, so it was sort of like we were wanting to pull that technical background from the previous life to the test. So, you want to do the prayer?
Good morning, everyone. Let's say a prayer together. Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Friend, beloved God,
Friend, beloved God,
Great Saints of Kriya Yoga,
Great Saints of Kriya Yoga,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
our beloved Guru,
our beloved Guru,
our Mahansa Yogananda,
our Mahansa Yogananda,
Friend and Guide,
Friend and Guide,
Swami Kriyananda,
Swami Kriyananda,
Saints of all religions,
Saints of all religions,
we humbly bow before you all.
we humbly bow before you all.
Dear Divine Mother,
Dear Divine Mother,
be with us today
be with us today
in this satsang.
in this satsang.
Help us to be your
Help
channels
us to be your
in
channels
all that we do,
in all that we do,
in the way that we think,
in the way that we think,
and the way that we channel your energy
and the way that we channel your energy
to others.
to others.
We long to be with you.
We long to be with you.
Take us home to thee.
Take us home to thee.
Om
Om.
Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we'll have a chant.
Do it. Do it.
And do you want to put the words on?
I'll see if I can, yeah.
Well, I think probably most of us know this chant. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee.
Let's prepare to meditate now. Let's sit up straight with the shoulders rolled back and the chin parallel to the ground. Let's inhale and tense the body with a double breath. Throw the breath out, relax. Twice more. And we'll meditate just briefly, but let's go deep right away, calling it the spiritual light of Divine Mother. Reveal thyself. Reveal thyself.
So
The video froze.
I see.
So,
Still frozen?
no, it's okay, but we have to be on alert.
I wonder what the hell is going
It's
on.
gotta be bandwidth. And if it freezes one more time, the only other thing I can think of is switch to my camera's phone. My camera's internet, phone's internet.
Why not instead put my computer on the tall thing in front of us and just use my computer? And if you have
I'll still do it. So friends, I have had some intermittent bandwidth issues here and with our network connection, and we have asked Babaji to maintain it for at least this hour. And so we'll see if he heard our prayer and decided to grant it. In case there is a problem here, we can continue, but we'll just switch around our setup. So if you see one of us disappear or a little bit of back room things, that's the only thing that's happening. But so far, so good. And so we're keeping our fingers crossed and our hearts open.
The affirmation for this week from Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Priyananda is self-expansion. Self-expansion is the essence of all aspiration. Why do we seek to possess things? Because by acquisition, we imagine we'll expand our dominion. Why do we seek to learn more? Because we think by enlarging our knowledge to expand our understanding. And why do we seek ever new experiences? Because we believe that through them we'll expand our awareness. When you stretch a lump of dough outward, it becomes not only broader, but thinner. Such often is the case when we stretch the mind only outwardly. Reaching out too far, we sacrifice depth in our lives. The self-expansion towards which all life aspires is of the spirit, an expansion of sympathy, of love, of the awareness that comes from sensing God's presence everywhere. So I'll say the affirmation first, all the way through, and then please repeat after me. And let's say this affirmation initially with full energy, full vigor, and we'll get softer and softer while we say it. I feel myself in the flowing brooks, in the flight of birds, in the raging wind upon the mountains, in the gentle dance of flowers in the breeze. Renouncing my little egoic self, I expand with my great soul self everywhere. So let's say this affirmation together. I feel myself in the flowing brooks.
I feel myself in the flowing brooks.
In the flight of birds.
In the flight of birds.
In the raging wind upon the mountains.
In the raging wind upon the mountains.
In the gentle dance of flowers in a
In
breeze.
the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze.
Renouncing my little egoic self.
Renouncing my little egoic self.
I expand with my great soul self
I
everywhere.
expand with my great soul self everywhere.
I feel myself in the flowing
I
brooks.
feel myself in the flowing brooks.
In the flight of
In the
birds.
flight of birds.
In the raging wind upon the
In
mountains.
the raging wind upon the mountains.
In the gentle dance of flowers in a
In the
breeze.
gentle dance of flowers in a breeze.
Renouncing my little egoic self.
Renouncing my little egoic self.
I expand with my great soul self
I
everywhere.
expand with my great soul self everywhere.
Now in a whisper, I feel myself in the flowing brooks.
Feel myself in the flowing brooks.
In the flight of
In the
birds.
flight of birds.
In the raging wind upon the
In the
mountains.
raging wind upon the mountains.
In the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze.
Gentle dance of flowers in a breeze.
Renouncing my little egoic self,
Renouncing my little egoic self.
I expand with my great soul self
I
everywhere.
expand with my great soul self everywhere.
Now mentally, I feel myself in the flowing brooks, in the flight of birds, in the raging wind upon the mountains, in the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze. Renouncing my little egoic self, I expand with great soul self everywhere. And the prayer for today is, Beloved Spirit in all that is, help me in my own nothingness to find myself one with all that is. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Well, it looks like we have not had a frozen camera since we became the host.
morning again, friends. It's a joy to be with you this morning. We only wish we could be with you in person, but since that actually isn't easy anyway, living as we do in different parts of the country, it's nice that we can be together relatively easily in this way. This is entitled, Does God Hide the Truth? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it and your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In last week's reading, we saw that the great masters themselves counseled discretion in the dissemination of truth. The counter-argument is sometimes made, but the Lord doesn't hide. He reveals his beauty in the sunsets, his tender sympathy in the rain, his wrath in the thunder, his restless energy in the brooks, his power in the sunlight. There are exoteric truths, and there are also esoteric truths. There is that which is revealed impersonally and left up to us to interpret, such as the thunder and our perception of it as divine wrath, the rain and our perception of it as God's sympathy. But behind even God's most open expressions, there lies impenetrable mystery. The wind blows where it wills, said Jesus in the Gospel of St. John. You hear the sound of it, but you do not know where it comes from, nor where it is going. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit. And Sri Krishna says in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, by me the whole vast universe of things is spread abroad, by me the unmanifest. In me are all existences contained, not I in them. God's hidden reality cannot be understood by the reasoning faculty. India's Sankhya philosophy states frankly, Ishwar Ashiddha, God is not provable. A willingness to seek the underlying reality behind appearances is essential for those who would know God. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Hello, everyone. Up kaise hain? We're in Tamil country here, but we began our time in India, in Gurgaon, where we moved in 2006 and lived in B 10/8, and Swamiji was living at his house, and Dharmarajan and I, we used to go to Bangalore once a month and teach the classes there. We did that for a year or so. Then we also would commute to Noida every Sunday and do satsangs there and teach classes as well. So we had a very nice time while we were in Gurgaon. Then we went back to America for just a little bit, and we were the spiritual directors of Manandi, LA, just for a year and a half. And then Swamiji called us to come to Chennai in 2013 when he came here for a public lecture and asked us if we would start a center here, because 2,000 people were at his lecture and 1,000 people were turned away. So quite an astounding thing, and it's been very lovely being here in Chennai, and we feel India is our home. You know, we don't know when we're going to get back to America, but it's been just fine being here, and we're in touch with family and things like that. But really this feels like our home. So I wanted to mention a few things. First of all, I wanted to reread the last sentence in this reading that Swamiji gave. It's the key, I think, to tuning into the unseen. A willingness to seek the underlying reality behind appearances is essential for those who would know God. So that word willingness is very important. The willingness to tune in, willingness to listen to God's answers, to be open to what He has to say. But really, what do we actually perceive in our meditations? There's so much that we think we know about our meditating, and yet there's so much unseen going on. We really can't know or perceive what it is. When we meditate, we're very aware of the surface feelings that are going on, the surface thoughts. We become very often disturbed by having so many thoughts going on in our mind. We'll judge our meditation and think, oh, that wasn't a very good meditation when I had so many thoughts going on in my head. Or we may be aware of some peace that comes, but so much more is going on in meditation. That's why even when we have a meditation with a busy mind, we feel better. It's kind of an empirical scientific proof where that doesn't make sense. I was sitting there, I was meditating, my mind was going crazy, and yet for the rest of the day I felt very peaceful inside. What's going on? So much is going on, and especially more in the beginning, we're just not as in touch with the subtle things going on. Master said that when we're meditating, we're opening subtle channels in our astral spine. Who can feel that? And even more proof that we just don't know what's going on. And we can be open to the mystery that's going on, but we can also be open to tuning in more and more subtly and perceiving more and more the truth of what is actually going on. And what it takes is willingness and interest. When we are interested in God, in our Guru, then He is even more interested in us. He's sitting there waiting for us, for our interest. And in the beginning, in the beginning classes that we teach here, people will say, well, how do I remember God? Do you have any suggestions? And sometimes we'll say, well, how about set your alarm on your phone once an hour, ringing, and when it does that, then think of God in what you're doing. Think of your connection to God. But it's more than that is needed. Over time, we begin to want God more and more, the more we get to have a deeper relationship with God. More and more we begin to perceive the unseen that's going on. We begin to have times of feeling God's presence. When we're feeling that peace, that inner joy, that presence of God, we don't know what that is or where it's coming from. There's no logical way of interpreting that. And yet, when we feel it, we know what it is, and we trust it. And so we begin to perceive more and more deeply over time with our meditations. We begin to talk to God more and more, slowly but surely, remembering Him, not just once an hour, but remembering Him continuously. But it happens over time, and we must be interested. And most importantly is that love that we begin to cultivate in our hearts. That love has to be practiced on humans. Master said that we can't win the love of God until we've won the love of humans. And so we can't just meditate in an isolated way and think, oh, I'm doing my techniques and I'm doing what I should, or I'm doing my Kriya an hour and a half a day. and following the rules. We have to be willing to also change our behavior. Our spiritual progress depends on us becoming more and more kind, more and more loving to other people. And the more that we are able to learn not to be impulsive in our actions, the more we do love our fellow man. Think of the times when we're about to send an email and we're certain that this person must hear what is in the email, and yet there's a part of us, our heart is a little shaky on it. And so that shakiness is a message to us. Maybe we shouldn't act on that impulse. And we find more and more that if we hold off on these impulses, that our heart grows more calm and more peaceful. And the calmer and peaceful it is, the more we're able to perceive. Swamiji says intuition is calm feeling. That intuition is what can see the unseen. More and more we are able to tune into that and become confident in our connection to God, become confident that the love we're feeling in our heart is returned, and that also that peacefulness inside of us radiates out to everyone. I have to say, this is one of my favorite topics that Swamiji talks about, being able to tune into the unseen. It just takes practice. It just takes the desire to hang in there and to begin to learn to trust the feelings of intuition. It's a beautiful thing that unfolds naturally through more and more meditation. So Dharmarajan is also going to speak, and I'll pass the microphone on to him. Let's do extra healing prayers or something.
Well, it is, I'm going to move this over here. Sorry, I'm seeing something popping up on the screen. I wasn't sure if it's the chat or everything. Hopefully everything's okay. If it isn't, just give us a call.
Oh, look.
I just want to echo what Dharmini said about it's really a joy to be with you all again in Gurgaon. You know, we visited the center a number of times over the years, and especially when Jyotishi and Deviji would come, or when we would have gatherings there. We've had some friends from Ananda Chennai come as well on pilgrimage to Ananda Gurgaon, and so it was very sweet to have a connection that way between our two branches of our spiritual family. As she said, we grew up in India, in Gurgaon, in Ananda Gurgaon from 2006 to 2010. We lived in DLF Phase 1. We shopped in DLF Phase 2 at the Metropolitan Mall, and of course all the malls were just finishing being built at that time. And also we would take MG Road into Delhi. Of course now we get lost in Gurgaon because it was under construction when we were there, but we were used to the construction. This is the barrier, this is the bypass, this is the way around all of this. You can't drive straight through. And now every time we go back, it's changed. And really, it's a wonderful thing, not for navigating easily, but it is a good thing for just to see the growth and the energy. It's high energy. And of course, with high energy comes, a lot of churning of the ether, a little bit of chaos, but nevertheless, that's the process of birth and of growth. And so we used to, smile that in our town of Gurgaon, there weren't many sidewalks yet because there was just all this building of, infrastructure, corporate structures, and more. So anyway, it's a bit of a homecoming for us to be able to be with you in this way. And really again, that I'm also trying to think of, what is it? Koi shabd, Hindi mein, it's really hard. We spoke much better Hindi than we speak Tamil.
Bahut mushkil.
Bahut mushkil, Tamil, bahut mushkil hai. Hamare liye, yeah, that's. See, I even doubt now my Hindi because I'm so used to being wrong in Tamil. And so, furthermore, whenever I try to think of Hindi words, the 6 Tamil words that I know keep intruding themselves as if to say, no, 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 this is the language you're trying to learn. But at one time, we kuch Hindi bolte hain, both of us, and also we enjoyed, we enjoy the language, I should say, but we enjoyed connecting people in that way too. So really, this topic is so timely also, taking it to the particular moment that we're living in. Does God hide the truth? And really, what is the teaching behind outward appearances? Again, we hear the thunder. We had thunder here last night in a rainstorm here in Chennai. We hear the thunder and we can interpret it as God's wrath, but the interpretation is ours. And so, does God hide the truth? Well, he most certainly does. He's, you could say hiding it right now. We have the coronavirus going on, and none of us on this earth know the truth about it fully, even though we're all affected by it. And so, when will it go? When will the vaccine come? All these things. I mean, I'm sure I don't need to rehash what you've been reading in the papers, or at least the digital papers, or discussing around the dinner table or whatever. But the thing is that we also don't know the purpose of it. We don't really know fully the teaching that God, that Divine Mother, is giving. What we can say, if this teaching is from Divine Mother, if this experience is from Divine Mother, and every experience is from Divine Mother, so we're on pretty safe ground, even if difficult, is that she is trying to teach us something from the point of view of love. Now, if you've had a particularly hard suffering with the virus, or of course if we have had someone in our family affected, or we've even lost someone to the virus or something else, that isn't an easy teaching to accept, and I won't bother with it. In fact, it may not even be appropriate. It isn't appropriate to be too philosophical when our hearts are just deep in grief. It's better to just come to God with love, even to shout at Divine Mother, why did you do this? Why did you let this happen? And so on. If that's how we're really feeling, we should be open with Divine Mother and trust that we can express our dissatisfaction, as most children are fairly confident in expressing their dissatisfaction, if not to the Father, at least to the Mother. And we should do the same thing with our Mother, the universal Mother. She's everyone's mother, but she's also your mother. And she has a place in her heart just for you. No one can take that place, can occupy it. It's just for you. It's just between you and her, you and she, anyway. It's just between the two of you. And so we can complain, we can cry out without fear of a thunderbolt being loosed in our direction, that that she's here and she understands. Swamiji gave the example of how if a child breaks its toy, if a child breaks its toy, you don't necessarily approach the child and say, what are you crying about? All is Brahma. The manifested light vibrations that have encrusted into atoms to form your toy have now gone. You didn't get into all of that. You put your arm around the child and comfort the child and see if you can fix the toy. And, in other words, you address the child's reality from his perspective, from her perspective. But you also, being an adult, have a broader perspective. You know that, well, there will be other toys, and that even a new toy may replace this one and be even more fun for the child. And also, as the child grows, it will have many more experiences in life beyond this particular minute of its life so far. And so, even though we can even smile, because we know it's not that great a tragedy, we do understand when we feel from our hearts that to the child, in the moment, in the now, it does hurt. And so we, again, offer comfort appropriately. So it is the same with Divine Mother. She knows that when we break our toys, whether it's the toys of our job or the toys of our ability to go out of our house, or the toy even of our body, she knows, okay, I will comfort you according to your level of understanding and according to how you are feeling, which is the key. She addresses our feelings, but still she sees it from a broader perspective. If she, for example, sees that we are struggling even with death and are worried, that are afraid to die, and she says, well, I understand, but in the last life you were also afraid to die, and then you died, and then you came back, and here you are. So, from my perspective, it's really not that big a deal. Master gave the illustration of death, the analogy, he said, of if we have a beautiful piece of clothing that we love and we say, oh, it's so nice, I love it. This is in one of his talk tapes, so you can hear his voice, telling this story. And then he says, suppose we catch it on a nail and then it's torn, and he said, and we try frantically to sew it back together and we weep, but then when we realize nothing can be done, then we just take it and we don't know what he physically does, but the whole audience laughs, so maybe he throws it aside, pantomimes that action, and he just says, go, I've had enough of you, that's all right, we just go on. And so he said it's the same with death, that we just make this transition. So don't worry, I'm not going to give a whole talk on the process of death or whatever it is, but just to say that even that seemingly biggest experience in this life, which is to say the ending of it, which is often contemplated in one way, directly or indirectly, is really nothing to Divine Mother. Swamiji said, don't be afraid of death. Think of how many times you've died already. And so, and Jyotishji likes to quote Master's statement that why pray for immortality? He said to pray for immortality is the silliest prayer I've ever heard. Why pray for something that you have already? So we don't know what Divine Mother is trying to teach us in this experience, but we have seen, I think all of us, the great advantages that were perhaps not apparent at first when we, for example, began this lockdown and all these different things. All of our activities went online practically overnight. We were all doing different things online to a certain extent, but now it is Hamesha, sab log, sab kuch online. And so that has opened up all kinds of new avenues for us. It has allowed us to serve more people. A number of people coming to our classes here, and I'm sure it's true all over, have said, I have wanted to come to your center to take these classes, but I live too far away, or I have two small kids and I can't get away, or some other reason. And thanks to coronavirus, I can now take this class, with you all online. And so we even are connecting in this way. It's everybody knows how to use Zoom now, and so it's just no problem. And so that has been a very nice way of tying us all together as a work in India, that we can easily hop and visit. I mean, if, from the point of view of watching even a video recording of a satsang in another center, or watching broadcasts from all over the world, it's nice to feel connected to our larger spiritual family. Spiritual Renewal Week was a wonderful example of that, coming from Ananda Village, but that so many of us could attend from all over the world, but especially here all over India, in the sense that even though the timings were a little bit difficult for us, still the technology was there, even the price was adjusted to sort of suit the Indian economy a little bit better. And it was really a miracle that we could all participate in this experience that Swamiji began in 1969, I believe it was, if not 68, when Ananda began. And it has been a tradition ever since of coming together, but it's been one that in India we haven't really been able to participate in except indirectly through the videos after the fact. By the way, if you missed Spiritual Renewal Week, you can always sign up for it even now and have access to all the recordings. There are many talks from speakers from all over the world. Ananda's work everywhere. And it's a very nice way to feel that connection, if not in real time, because the event has passed, but in pseudo real time, and close enough to real time. Another thing actually that happened at the very beginning of this whole situation that we're in, this pandemic, is that we had the Kriyaban retreat online. Nayaswami Devarshi and the monks organized this event, and for the Kriyabans among you, you may have attended, and so we were all able to visit from center to center. And even in the morning we would be in Gurgaon, in the evening we might be in Delhi, and then in one talk we went from Bangalore for the first talk to Mumbai for the second talk, and so on. And so it was so nice also to see everybody's temple, all the different altars of the different centers, to feel that immediate heart connection to the place. And so again, a great advantage of this time. One of the challenges, of course, has actually been on the local level, in our own centers. We are so used to, or we were so used to, if you can remember back as far as February, it's just 4 months ago. No, was it 6 months ago? My gosh, it's shocking how I remember looking at the calendar and seeing that there were some events there were some recordings of some events that happened in May. I thought, May? Did we already pass through the month of May? It's just been a timeless experience here. And so anyway, February is 6 months ago now. If you think back to that time, we all just got to see each other. We didn't have to say, turn your video on. We just were having coffee together or just bumping in. People were dropping by. We could have that time of connection that nothing can really replace. I mean, there are a lot of things that can help. But still, just being able to be together, even vibrationally, the vibrational exchange that happens, even in silence, just getting to share in our combined devotion for Master, for this path, in our dedication personally as Kriyabans and disciples. Then when we come together, that of course magnetizes everyone. And of course, Master and the great masters are drawn to each devotee personally because of their love for you. But of course, with many devotees there, so then the Master's presence is felt even more strongly. And so that has been a bit of a challenge now because we don't have that. We were used to not seeing people in Pune or Mumbai on a daily basis, except sort of on as an occasion. But in your home, in your own spiritual family home, you don't want to have to make an appointment just to spend time together. We just are used to seeing one another. So in that way, it is helpful to look at what can we do to address that. Obviously, one thing is to, which I'm sure you've all been doing and is happening more than it used to, at least here, is just more phone calls, devotee to devotee phone calls, to make up for the fact that we can't have the spontaneous chat over a dokla. I don't know if you've ever chanted over dokla. I certainly haven't, but chatted, yes. So a spontaneous chat, just, how are you? Oh, really? And that, we don't have that now. So if we make a point of making a phone call, which we might not have done as much in the past, we didn't need to, because again, of the spontaneity of connection. But now it is a good idea to make a point deliberately to phone each other, to check in, just about nothing. Sometimes I'll call people here and I'll say, hello, yes, okay, how are you, fine? And I say, this call has no purpose. Oh, okay. Just waiting to see what, I don't know what they're expecting, but this is just a chat, no reason, no outcome, nothing, no schedule. And so in the same way, let us think about ways in which we can connect. Of course, WhatsApp has been extremely helpful for sharing in this way. And anyway, there are all very obvious ideas. The point is not what to implement or even how to implement, but to implement, to do some things that may seem small, but make up for all the precious small things that used to just come automatically, easily, no effort. So we also can understand, though, very clearly individually as devotees, that, for example, we may, when we first come on the path, or even after, yearn for that Himalayan cave. That, oh gosh, now that I have discovered that I'm a devotee, now that I have rediscovered Master, reconnected with him in this life, feeling the continuation of past lives, the continuity, that I really want to just meditate to serve him, but gosh, I have this job and I have this life and all these things, and we can mistakenly think that, oh, if only I had known I could just be in a cave, and I remember my cave in the past life, and oh, it was so nice and so simple and all these things, and so perfect. Listen, if our cave was perfect in the last life, we wouldn't be here in this life. There would be no need for us to have come back. So we should trust that even if we lost sight of Master, unless you were born into a family of devotees and took on Master as your guru right away, I certainly wasn't. If you lost sight of Master in the beginning of this life, he did not lose sight of you. And so he had us, even before we knew it, on the right course for our liberation, on the fast track that would get us out of Maya and get us into self-realization, into God, as quickly as possible. Even if it may seem a bit of a zigzaggy road, it's a straight line, or it is, following what Dharmini was saying, to the extent that we keep our hearts open, that we are willing to see the unseen, that we feel, that we trust, and that we look, not look with the outer eye, because you can't see the unseen obviously that way, but with not just, again, the inner eye, in terms of the spiritual eye, sure, definitely, but really the intuition, as she said, and to ask God, God, you tell me. I don't know what I can perceive, but why don't I just ask you for the answer? That's the big joke of life, is that God gives us tests. And so when we get tests, we take them as tests, as we're used to. Okay, how have I studied? How have I prepared? Okay, let me remember cosine squared plus, oh gosh, I don't even remember. And then this vocabulary word, and we rack our brains all alone. And if you go up to the teacher and say, I'm sorry, I have one question, the teacher laughs. Egg Prussian. The teacher laughs and says, go back to your seat and do your own work. And so we're used to that. But the joke of it is that when Divine Mother gives us a test, she's also sitting right there, not only taking the test for us, not also filling in some of the answers or correcting our mistakes quietly when we're not looking, but she also, you can just ask her, what is the answer? And she just tells us. But we're so used to, no, I have to do it alone, that therefore we just don't even bother. I was laughing the other day because we were doing a yoga posture, and I think it's Garudasana, and we were saying, at the center of life's storms, I stand serene. Serene is deeply calm. At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. And I was thinking as I was doing this, that the affirmation is not, at the center of life's storms, I stand alone. It's, we're never alone. And so often we feel that we are. Just, I am stuck, the posture looks a little bit like this. I am here alone and have to endure these buffeting winds and see if I can survive, or at least go down with courage. No, we're not alone at all. It's ridiculous to think that way. Whenever we think we're alone, you know why? It's just the ego. The ego shrinking, the ego cringing. Sometimes the ego aggressively trying to make us feel small. Sometimes the ego just hurt. And just out of feeling hurt, trying to protect itself by withdrawing, by shrinking within. Let me stay out of the range of the bullets. But that never works. Because the thing of it is, there are no bullets anymore, but still we are cringing. And there maybe hasn't been a bullet seen in these parts for some years, but still even the memory of the bullet. These are real things. I'm not making light of them, our old hurts, but just to say, it's very important to do that healing work so we can let God in. It works both ways. As we heal our hearts, God comes in. On the other hand, the more we bring God in, the more our hearts heal. So you can approach it from any angle and every angle. Do what works. That is the motto of yoga. I don't know how to say it in Sanskrit. I'm sure Patanjali wrote it somewhere in those Yoga Sutras. Do what works. And so even on the spiritual path, if you chant a lot and it always works and then suddenly it doesn't, then find something else. If your japa has become just stale, then read a spiritual book of masters or Swamijis. If all of your studying, you're feeling kind of, it's hard to get into, just call a friend, call a guru bhai, and just talk, again, about nothing. You always naturally will end up going towards spiritual matters anyway. And so, again, not only do what works and keep it fresh. In fact, the spiritual path was described by someone at Ananda sweetly as a process of CPR. As CPR, not a constant process of re-inspiration. Every day we need to re-inspire ourselves. Master said, do something new every day. Even if it's something, cooking something that you haven't cooked before, or cooking something that you do cook, but maybe in a different way. Adding a different spice, or even just using a different mixing bowl, but just something to keep our minds awake, to keep us creative, to keep that fresh flow going so we don't just kind of automatically and through habit just drone through life. So I have to glance at the time here because it looks like the time is up. I have 17 seconds left in which to say something. So I think I will just simply say thank you again for having us all. We're so glad to be with you. And Nitendra, I'm trying to remember, did you want us to lead the healing prayer at the end, or what's happening at the end now? What should we do? There's Jayanti. Okay.
Let me turn on this.
No, you
one
do
second,
the
our
healing
speaker
prayer.
turned on.
Here, no, we can have this one.
I'll do that.
You do the healing prayer, then I would end with thanking you both.
So she said we'll do the healing prayer and then she'll end.
Nice to see you, Jayanti.
So let's bring to mind all those we know in need of healing. Let's especially include all the first responders, all the doctors, the nurses, the emergency workers, and even those who are now delivering our food and doing those things, risking their lives actually by being more in a public setting. See them all surrounded in God's protective light. Let's visualize our whole Ananda family also surrounded, including our own personal families as well, surrounded in God's healing presence. Feeling courage to face all obstacles. Spreading God's peace and harmony around the world. Let's pray together. Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Thou art omnipresent.
Thou art omnipresent.
Thou art in all Thy children.
Thou art in all Thy children.
Manifest Thy healing presence.
Manifest Thy healing presence
In their bodies.
in their bodies,
In their minds.
in their minds,
And in their souls.
and in their souls.
Thank you so much, Dharmarajan ji and Dharmini ji. It's been such a pleasure to have you here. And every situations actually come with their own blessings. And now with this, sheltering in place has come with its own blessing that we can have you for our satsang with just a click of a link. So, and we really look forward that soon this ends and we will have you physically here with us. And we can all go shopping together again to all those places all over again. But it's such a pleasure to have you both here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, everybody. Very nice seeing you.
Same here. Thank you. The rest of us, let's please continue here. We will have Sunny and other Guru Bhais here continuing with the healing prayers. Uh, any of you have any requests for healing? Please put it in the chat mode. They will take it up from here. Thank you.
Namaste, friends. Thank you for joining for the healing session. So we have Renu today and Vijaya. Thank you for joining. Let's start by first preparing our bodies for the healing. Let's inhale with a double breath. Tense the body. Vibrate with the tension. Relax. Twice more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale again. Hold the tension. Exhale. Let's do the medulla recharge now. Let's take 3 fingers, middle fingers. Let's massage. Inhale. Again, massage one direction, the opposite. Inhale. Once more, taking in the prana. Relax. Now let's tense our left arm first, bare arm. Tense, low, medium, high tension, vibrate. Feel the prana, relax. Right, low, medium, high. Relax. Let's rub our bare arms. And our hands now. Feel the flow of prana coming in from the medulla into our brains, the nervous system, flowing through our hands. First start, let's close our eyes. Visualize first, offering a prayer for the Beirut victims, their families, after the tragedy. Also the Calicut air crash. Mentally send thoughts of healing, of comfort to people, their families, around jobs, food. Let's offer a prayer. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Thou art in these Thy souls. Manifest Thy healing presence in these bodies, minds, and souls. Feel the prana leaving your hands through the spiritual eye, healing, offering support, offering your energy and thoughts as a channel of divine victims, their families. Remember, Master said that electricity and thought will be the future form of healing. Om Shanti. request Renu to take up the next request.
Now we have prayer. This is Hemant Gandhi, a 46-year-old, and he lives in Virginia, USA. And just last June, he lost his father, and his family lives in India, and his mother is in very grief. And Hemant Gandhi also just challenged for his current job. And let's visualize Hemant and whole family with the divine light surrounding Hemant and his entire family, his mother, his family that he lives in India. And Hemant is right now is challenging his current job, and he's trying to get a new job. Now we'll do the healing prayer. We separate body, mind, soul. As Divine Mother knew what is good, best for them. So let's pray for them for the body. Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent, thou in these thy children, manifest the healing presence in their body. Just rub your palm together to the deep faith God and Guru. Allow Divine Mother flow through your hands, through your heart, through your spiritual life, and bathe them with the Divine Mother love, the care and protection. Send 3 times Om. Just hold your hand for some time. Just allow yourself through the prana, the form of the Divine Mother love and care through your hands. Now for my Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent, thou art in these thy children, manifest the healing presence in their mind. Just hold your hand, create the magnetic field, full faith to project the life force energy with them. 3 times Om. Divine Mother, the comfort, the touch their hearts, and help them to overcome the grief, the worry and the tension they are facing in this current situation. Now, same prayer for the soul. Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent, thou in these thy children, manifest the healing presence in their soul. Just palm together. Standing light, 3 times Om. Stay with Divine Mother, help us to raise consciousness so that we can get the better solution to overcome this current situation. The love of Divine Mother and her protection and her care. Om Shanti.
The next request is for Deepti Sharma. She's traveling from Jammu to Mumbai and she has asked for strength, prayer for her strength. And she's also specifically asking prayer for her daughter, Bhuvi, and her mother, Vandana. Let's close our eyes, centering ourselves. Let's ask our Gurus, Divine Mother, specifically send healing, be with us. Prayer demand to them to channel their light and healing to Deepti, Vandana, and her daughter, Bhuvi. Let's try and concentrate with only this thought of healing, no other thought, no worries of the past, nothing of the future. Let's be present 100% for this prayer for Deepti. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent, Thou art in all Thy children, Thou art in Deepti, Bhuvi, and Vandana. Manifest Thy healing presence in their bodies, mind, and soul. Help her in this journey. Stay with the thought, sending healing to Deepti, being the channel of the healing light. Om. Vijay, if you could take the next request.
All right. Let us offer healing prayer for Ashok Chabra ji, who is 80 years old and is in the ICU with some heart problems. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent, Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest your healing presence in Ashok Chabra ji's mind, body, and soul, and especially his heart. Fill it with divine light, strength, and love. Let us rub our hands and chant Om 3 times. Om. Om. Being the channel of light and healing energy, keeping our hands in the same position. Let Divine Mother and the prana flow through Ashok Chabraji's heart, healing him, calming him, and also sending strength to his entire family. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
We don't have any requests now. I'll try and close with this saying of Paramahansa Yogananda ji. We have one more request. Okay. This request is from Mr. Sham, 68 years in ICU, suffering from COVID. Let's close our eyes. Let's visualize Mr. Sham. Particularly, visualize his spine, the energy centers, the point between the eyebrows. Visualize prana flowing through these centers. We'll offer prana through us, through being a channel, trying to remove any blockages, increasing his immunity. Let's offer a prayer. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent, Thou art in all Thy children, Thou art in Sham. Manifest Thy healing presence in his body, mind, and soul. See the light going out from your spiritual eye, from the hands, reaching Sham, the prana flowing through his spine, healing, clearing blockages, increasing the immunity, giving him strength, body, mind, and soul. Om Shanti. These are words of Yogananda ji. Electricity and rays will be the future medicine of the world. And when humanity advances still further, thought will be the medicine. Millions of volts of potential energy exist in your brain. You do not realize the power of God that has been implanted by him in the mind. It controls all the bodily functions, and when its power is properly exercised, it can promote any condition in the body. Remember these words. We'll end with this. If you have any further request, you can leave it on the Facebook page or email or any comment right now, and we'll pray for you next week. Thank you, Renu. Thank you, Vijaya, for joining. And also an announcement, we have tea satsang in Divine Friendship at 3 to 4 p.m. today with Dhyanaji, and the topic is gratitude and friendship. So the link is already shared with you. We'll see you next week. Joy to you all. Thank you, Renu. Thank you, Vijaya.